This video is a section of my Nikon Z5 review. There is a link to the playlist below for all of my thoughts on this camera, and I'm releasing these videos as I create them, so if you're interested in learning something specific, please put it in the comments and I'll do my best to include it in a future video. All right, first up, shooting with the Nikon 85mm lens, the 1.4G, through the FTZ adapter, and it actually tracks really incredibly well. The lens itself makes some autofocus noise, the new Z series lenses do not, but I am super happy overall. That's minimum focusing right about there. I'm going to cut the music to give you a sample of the onboard microphones that are actually really good. And I'll have you out in the center again. We'll basically just do the thing that we did last time. A little walk in kind of each direction. All right, whenever you're ready. So in ideal conditions, really works fantastically. Another thing to note is that I'm currently walking right now, and I'm just handheld, I'm not on a gimbal or anything, and I think the footage looks fantastic, especially shot at 85, walking backwards with autofocus tracking nicely. One other thing to note is that you don't get eye detect in when you're in video mode, you only get it in photo mode, so just be aware of that. You get face detect, and in these examples it has worked very well. And I would say that my Nikon lenses work better, my older Nikon lenses work better on Z series through the adapter than they actually do on a digital SLR. All right, let's get into some less than ideal conditions. Getting into some documentary style vlog content, run and gun style coverage. One of the things that I find super useful, especially as a prime shooter, is that I can go into crop mode in the camera. That's a crop clip, and I can get a little bit of extra reach out of all my lenses, which I really appreciate. Autofocus wise, well, it is a lot better than the Z6 when it was originally released. It's still not quite as good as Sony or Canon, and it takes a little bit of struggling sometimes to get in focus what you actually want to get into focus. And this includes even if you're using the touchscreen and you touch something that most of the time it works, but sometimes it does not work exactly as you'd planned, and you just have to be ready to override it with manual focus. Please welcome Tim to the course. My wife Lindsay asked if I had seen the color of my bag in real life before purchasing it. That means that she absolutely loves the color. One of the downsides with the Z5 is that it does not give you 120 frames per second, which means that footage regular speed looks like this. And then when you slow it down from 60 frames a second to 24, this is about as slow as you can get. In software, you could also maybe get a little slower if you wanted to. That said, as somebody that makes a lot of video content, I very rarely, if ever, need to have 120 frames a second. It's nice to have, but it's not required, and if it is, maybe this isn't the right camera for you.
Oh my god, so good. So good. No good. No good. Less good.
Autofocus and face detect specifically will also struggle with sunglasses. I've seen this a lot in my Fuji X-T4. Canon and Sony seem to get it right most of the time. Hopefully Nikon gets there as well, because it's something that I would like to see just functional all the time. For autofocus settings, I've actually left it default as it comes out of the box. You can speed it up if you want. And I've also turned D-lighting onto high, which is something I do on all my cameras. Here we have the Nikon Coolshot 20i G2. Which is a rangefinder, but actually it's an illegal rangefinder because it includes slope. So I can't use this on the PGA Tour. It looks like it's exactly 161 yards straight. We have the Nikon A wedge made by TaylorMade. And if you're wondering why I shoot in 1080 rather than in 4K, I find the behind the scenes process of 4K quite cumbersome from a computer standpoint. And I'm usually just shooting for the final delivery, and in a lot of cases it's a screen or a phone in some cases, or YouTube, Vimeo, whatever it might be. I'm very rarely shooting for any sort of screen that would necessitate 4K. If you are somebody that needs 4K, know that there is a 1.7 times crop on this camera, which means that when you go into 4K, your lenses just become crop sensor lenses essentially. Final hole, 100 or less yards. If you win this hole, Tim, what are you going to spend your winnings on?
Oh boy. Probably a new hat.
Oh, that's good too.
That's really good.
Oh
my god. Yep.
Lands right here, rolls to there.
Winner!
Old hat, new hat.
Quick and dirty high ISO test here. 320, 400, 500, 640, 800, 1100. I feel like we can go up to like 32 and just maybe start there. Let's start at 5,000. 5,000, that's what 5,000 ISO looks like. This is what 8,000 ISO looks like. This is what 10,000 ISO looks like. That is right there, 20,000 ISO. I don't suspect you would ever need to shoot really beyond that, and also that's where my aperture maxes out on this lens. So I would say that that is a test completed.